And though U.S. President Joe Biden took the time to call Benjamin Netanyahu, he has been preoccupied with the midterm elections, where Democrats are facing an uphill battle to maintain control of both the House and the Senate. Millions of Americans casting their votes today. How will the outcome affect U.S.-Israel relations? Well, joining us now to discuss is Moshe Chertoff, Vice Chair of Democrats Abroad, Israel. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, Lidor.
So I want to start by asking you about President Biden's phone call to Netanyahu. Why did he wait so long to call and congratulate?
I don't know if it was so long. In my opinion, it was well-timed because, as we have seen in the news in Israel, things are still in the negotiation phase, although the results seem fairly certain. But still, it's not quite a government yet. Yes, he was given the largest opportunity to create a government, but the president and Mr. Netanyahu have had very good relations throughout the years. Also, when the president was vice president, he had good relations with the family and with Mr. Netanyahu. There's not a problem here.
You know, here in Israel, I mean, the Israel-U.S. relationship is always sort of an issue. Is Israel an issue at all in the voters' minds when casting their ballots today?
I don't think so. I think that people will probably hold on to their pre-election opinions about Israel and about the American administration's support of Israel. There are people who support the previous government in Israel. There are people who support the future government in Israel. And I imagine people had their opinions, let's say, about the upcoming government before it's even created. So it's hard to tell. As we know, in the previous elections, the Jewish vote in the United States in 2020 was approximately 75% Democrat and 22% voting for the incumbent president at the time. And those pretty much run very parallel throughout the years. There hasn't been much of a change in that for the last 8 years. So I don't see any real changes.
You know, the Democrats facing an uphill battle, initial polls showing that the Republicans are likely to gain the majority. I mean, why do you think this is the case?
Well, everyone, I'm sure that you've heard in the news, has mentioned the fact that this is a given, that incumbent presidents will always be losing some of their majority to the other party or to the other side. In my estimation, from what I've been listening to on American TV, it's very likely that the Senate will remain in Democratic control. It is possible that they might lose just enough to lose that control, but so far it looks like the Senate will remain. The House of Representatives is expected to be lost to the Republicans, and the main goal of all Americans who are voting Democrat, and even Americans in Israel who either are voting or should vote in the next few hours Democrat, it should be to make sure that that is as minimal as possible, so that voting isn't in this midterm about the president directly. It's about the Congress. It's about voting rights. It's about all sorts of things that are up for grabs. And even on the state level and local level, there are things that must be decided by the voters. For instance, things that never used to be considered serious are all of a sudden very important. The Secretary of State of any given state who is elected now can overturn the elections in 2024 and give whoever they want the vote, even though they didn't actually win the election. And we have 60% of Americans will have an election denier on their ballot. And they have to understand that a Secretary of State who's an election denier, who has his doubts or her doubts about the election results of 2020, you can pretty much foresee what might happen in 2024. And that will be a very dangerous step for democracy.
You know, how will a Republican majority, affect U.S. relations with Israel in terms of Iran, in terms of the Abraham Accords, and in terms of U.S. policy towards Israel in general?
Well, I think we've seen already with President Biden's visit to Israel recently, we've seen how things have been working out. I don't foresee any real problems. As I said, President Biden and Mr. Netanyahu have worked in the past together. They know each other's views on Iran. There is possible new information that could become available as we move along. It doesn't seem that we're about to get into the actual agreement that was being negotiated, but that doesn't mean that things will necessarily change. And since that visit, we have the uprising, the unrest in Iran of many of the citizens. And this isn't about, this is something which is quite different, because it's not just a union or workers of this kind or of that kind. This is the entire general public who are protesting about the treatment of women and their liberties and civil rights in Iran. And it's not coming from the outside, it's entirely internal. So that's pretty much an unknown right now.
All right, Moshe, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Hi everyone, it's Emmanuel Kadosh. I wanted to invite you all to subscribe to ILTV+, where you can find our daily news and updates about Israel. And not only that, but live feeds, entertainment, our kosher food show, and so much more. Needless to say, your subscription to ILTV+ helps us grow and create more content while also supporting the state of Israel. Our app is available on all platforms and devices, so I'll see you guys there.